love these communal
You come in the afternoon. Maybe I'll make a start tomorrow. So these are the big wood blocks. These are made of lino, and we make flags with these. That's an eye, and we love our eye, and people love those flags. And the idea is that we're watching the government. We are watching these huge oil companies. We're watching the companies that people don't know about who are facilitating the extraction of fossil fuels around the planet. So we take the eye to these companies that don't have their name on the door, and we're like, we know you're there, we're watching you.
That thing took us way longer to make, the climate dildo. We thought we could do it with these, the wooden sticks you could soak and bend them, didn't work. So we had to make a metal framework, and then we found Chinese tissue paper, but then we had to work out loads of stuff on it. And there was worry because a lot of people say we don't want to be stereotypical of the queer community, that or the only thing we think about is sex. But we just said, look, it's a 6 foot odd dildo. Right, it's going to make people laugh, and people just really, I sometimes feel that people really don't estimate enough how much artwork can make a difference to people, because everybody took the postcards, everybody took the patches with various messaging on it, and it means that people go away and think about things, because we've got to get them to think more that they are powerful enough to step against this system.
When you're designing a movement, first of all, you don't sit there and think, well, it was going to look a bit like this. First of all, you look backwards, look at what's succeeded, what's failed. We looked at things like Paris 68, the suffragettes. There's loads of great movements that worked in the past. What did they do that worked? There are guiding points. And how can we make ourselves look different and stand out? Those are the important things. Standing out is clearly important.
We calculated last year that we'd made 14,500. So we make hundreds and thousands of things in here, as well as one-off pieces. One of my favourite things I made is the Kill the Bill banner, which we, for the police crime and sentencing bill, we didn't have enough fabric. We had to sew loads of fabric together. We made it in about 3 hours. We were blow drying it with a hairdryer and a blow dryer, and the next minute raging through Parliament with our banner, and it was in front page Guardian.
You only need very basic tools. Make them really simple, and then anyone can use them. And the more people you can allow to use the tools, the more likely you are to get different results.
I think XR's philosophy on art, I suppose, is that it's a very powerful tool for changing people's minds, and generally we want to make it accessible and give people opportunities to participate as well. So that's why, for example, we do block printing often, and we do block printing workshops where people can get engaged in the process and make something themselves.
Oh, mouldy.
Yeah.
I was hanging.
Just that straight or at an angle?
Oh, we're going to do straight, yeah.
Straight?
Yeah.
Do you want to hold that bit down and I'll pull this bit off?
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah.
I think
I think the thing I've done for Extinction Rebellion that I'm most proud of is the art pack that we gave away, the font, the logo, the woodcuts. And it wasn't just me, this was a collaboration. There was 4 of us working on it originally, and there was more of us working on it at the point of us giving it away. And that's an important point to make. Things aren't created individually, they're created communally. And that's a really important part of the XR experience, is that it should be a do-it-together movement, that people work together, working by consensus. And so I think certainly the most proud, and I see it still, and I still see the font that I designed on banners and all of that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's quite cool. And the colours too, great. I mean, it still looks quite fresh.
It's a conundrum for me in a way, because I'm an artist and I want to make art relating to the climate emergency. But generally, what we're doing is making something that's more akin to advertising or propaganda, because what we want to do is communicate our messages very directly, and art generally tends to be much more indirect, nuanced and layered. And so I'm very curious about how to make work that kind of ticks both those boxes, but I haven't really quite found the solution to that yet.
That no comment is the best answer to absolutely everything. If they did a silly arrest, and it has happened to me, totally out of the blue, all the information you need. Today, round the country, something like 50 events have taken place rather like this, organised by Campaign Against the Arms Trade, who are making a second attempt in the spring of 2022 to go back to the court to hold the government to account for having previously broken their own rules on exporting weapons to Saudi Arabia, despite war crimes being committed with those weapons.
It's just made up of a lot of scraps. It's a typical scrap yard production, but it's just an idea. The idea is to try to spark a little bit of interest when you arrive on sites. You know, if you just come out trying to talk with people, people walk away. If you try to give them leaflets, people walk away. But if you have something to focus on, then it's much easier.
Are you worried about it breaking at all?
Yeah, it's rattled. It's broken one bit here already.
It's advised to use fire over it. The big
Well, it's only a missile, I mean. If it's only a missile, if you drop a missile on the road, I mean, it's not neither here nor there. Yes. Yes, I mean, it is really, it's a piece of art. It's maybe not necessarily sort of fine art, but it's utilising, if you have a big pile of scrap, and how can you make it look into a missile? Well, you use traffic cones and a bit of ventilation ducting.
Yeah, the complexity of trailers. Great. We have a banner and the sun is coming out. Rejoice.
It is a big turbine centre to it. They're bought on eBay for 30 quid. But one of the problems with it is you can't drive it on a motorway, because anything over 25 miles an hour, it spins so fast, I think it's threatening to break apart. It's estimated that the arms industry and the war machinery produces in the order of 8% of the world's output of CO2, and that is catastrophically large, when we don't really need to. I'm not saying that peace will reign everywhere, but we don't need this massive resource-consuming industry doing what they're doing. They should do green energy instead.
I think civil disobedience is a valid way of engaging with society and forcing your issues onto the agenda. So if people begin, they may start out saying, well, that's really stupid, I couldn't get to work, it blocked the road. It's a tiny inconvenience to be stuck in traffic if 10 years down the road you're experiencing societal breakdown. Now people are feeling more pressured than ever. And when people feel pressure, they become more politicised. I think the problem with today is that we're possibly more divided or feel more divided than we've ever felt before. but that doesn't mean that we can't come together. And I think Extinction Rebellion is a great example of people coming together. We need to appreciate one another more. And if we can do that, we can then begin a transition in society. But it's certainly not going to be through the Tory, Labour, Liberal, or the current political system that we have.
Keep it in the ground.